Tour Cairo's Egyptian Museum with Egyptologist Tarek Taufik, and he'll show you treasures dating back 7,000 years.
We have here objects which you can see all around that are so big that they could not be moved outside of Egypt, and they're real masterpieces.
Masterpieces like the tomb of King Tutankhamun, and one of the most prized artifacts of the ancient world, the Rosetta Stone. The granite tablet was key to deciphering hieroglyphics and unlocking the secrets of ancient Egypt.
This was the beginning of modern Egyptology.
Impressive, except for one thing. This is a facsimile of the Rosetta Stone. That's right, this isn't the real Rosetta Stone. This is. And it sits more than 3,000 miles away in London's British Museum. How it got to London is a tale of imperialist intrigue. The French discovered it in 1799 when they invaded Egypt. When French forces surrendered to British troops in 1801, the stone was handed over. It's been in England ever since.
It should be in Egypt because this was the piece which brought all of the pieces that we have from ancient Egypt to life.
Is there an argument to be made that it's in very good hands in the British Museum, and a lot of people from all over the world end up seeing it there?
Yes, but it's not at home.
Egypt wants it home. In fact, governments around the world are trying to repatriate objects that they say were illegally acquired, and museums are listening. In 2011, the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles returned this iconic statue of a Greek goddess to Italy. This past May, New York's Metropolitan Museum announced the return of art to Cambodia. And Turkey has demanded the return of antiquities from museums in several countries and has threatened to withhold loans of artwork to some institutions until those demands are met.
A lot of museums, by virtue of their research, are discovering aspects of their collection that need a fresh look. In the case of the Dallas Museum of Art, we restituted works to the Italian government last year and to the Turkish government.
Maxwell Anderson is the director of the Dallas Museum of Art.
We have to collect in ways that are responsible, and we have to address claims when there are grounds for those claims.
Or a court may very well force them to. The St. Louis Art Museum is being sued for the return of the Ka Nefer Nefer mask to Egypt.
It was stolen from Egypt. It was sold to St. Louis Museum, and when they discovered that we are asking for that, they offered to negotiate.
Mohammed Ibrahim is Egypt's Minister of Antiquities. Egyptian treasures that are in museums overseas, are they not great ambassadors for Egypt?
They are if they have been taken legally, but illegal parts, I think we have the whole right on getting them back.
It's an argument also made by Greece in its long-standing demand for the return of the famed Elgin Marbles, sculptures that once graced the Parthenon.
Who can give a permission to divide the monument? Who is authorized to do that?
Dimitrios Pandermalis is president of Greece's new Acropolis Museum, built at the foot of Athens' Parthenon. Inside his museum are some of the greatest Greek classical sculptures.
This is the original part of the West Frieze, and you see the breast of this young warrior is in some plaster cast.
The missing parts have been replaced with copies of the originals, the majority of which are in London's British Museum. Pandermalis hopes to someday reunite the divided works.
It's unthinkable today to have a body in Athens and the head in the British Museum.
But how legitimate are these claims? Whether something was illegally acquired isn't always clear. The Elgin Marbles were given to the Brits, albeit by the Turks who occupied Greece in the early 1800s.
You know, how do you go back? I mean, you know, throughout history, wars, disruption, you know, things have changed hands in distressing ways.
Kimberly Rorschach is director of the Seattle Art Museum. She and Maxwell Anderson say that claims on recently acquired artifacts should be handled with the utmost seriousness. But cases like the Rosetta Stone or the bust of Nefertiti in Berlin for a full century are different, they say, because those artworks have become part of the heritage of the countries they're currently in.
If something's been somewhere long enough, it should stay there. You cannot go back in time. The only thing you can do is look forward to an appropriate pace of acquisitions and to solving those problems that are recent in time.
And on the subject of recent problems, security at the museums themselves. 3 years ago, the Egyptian Museum was looted and the building next to it torched. Only a human shield of patriotic Egyptians prevented a ransacking. Today, the political situation only seems to be worsening. Witness yesterday's clashes on the streets of Cairo. An unstable government, Anderson points out, is more likely to exploit the issue of art repatriation.
Political conditions of a country that's asking for art to be returned. Egypt is, to put it nicely, a mess right now.
Yes, there's certainly a groundswell of nationalism in a lot of countries that are looking to legitimize current governments through an appeal to their past and their heritage. And we all understand that politicians have to do what they have to do, but as scientists and archaeologists and art historians and museum officials, our job is to protect objects and heritage. It's not to solve the nation-building efforts of one country or another.
And yet, what might seem like a series of bitter custody battles between museums and foreign governments could actually result in more cultural exchange. Dimitrios Pandermalis of the Acropolis Museum.
We had to change this issue of demanding to an issue of collaboration and of sending other monuments, other pieces to the British Museum for exhibition, temporary exhibitions. We can do really very productive work together.
In Dallas, we're borrowing from Italy in recognition of our return of antiquities to them, and the Turkish government the same. We're going to be borrowing works from their collections. And those are great opportunities for research, for teaching the American public also about the heritage of those countries. It's an exciting frontier, I think, ahead.